Today I want to speak about literature, about books, to say the truth about the book. This book has transformed me a lot from my DNA, because while I was reading this book, it's not only the narrative that was really captivating, page-turner, transformative, but the energy by itself. So I felt that the book is transmitting the energy of transformation. You know, my skeptical brain used to say, oh my God, what you're saying, that's so strange to speak about a book that is transmitting energy. But I do not know. I feel that while I was approaching to read this book, my thoughts were changing, my perceptions of this world, of my social circle were changing, I changed my conducts. So that was really, really strange. But at the same time, after reading this book every single time, I felt that my soul is different, or my state of mind is really calm. I have more security inside. And a part of these individual transformations that I experimented after reading this book, I understood that it might be also a good tool for collective transformation, for social transformation, because nowadays what I see in our society, that we really got stuck to security, because we understand that if I'm gonna face any kind of uncertainty in the future, I wouldn't like that. I would experiment lots of anxiety. So I have to do right now anything possible in order to prevent all these anxiety or nerves that any uncertainty may provoke inside of me. So that's why I want to buy lots of things. I want to do everything in order to be secure now. And I feel that that's why right now there are lots of right-wing politics that happen to be really popular in many countries. Why so? Because we are selling our liberty, our freedom for this security. All right-wing policies are offering us lots of rules, lots of regulated spheres, because all the regulation, all the rules, what they give us this security, knowing that everything would be according to the rule, everything is gonna be disciplined, etc. So there is no chaos. But at the same time, there is lots of control. So we completely handed in our liberty, because we are saying, no, I opt for security rather than my freedom. And I feel that this book is trying to transform it, is trying to open our hearts. I know that right now this phrase might sound a bit pathetic, like opening our hearts, but it's a very profound phrase, because once we don't open our hearts, we cannot interact sincerely with the world. Every single time we are defending ourselves, or we are waiting for somebody or for something to attack us, to harm us. That's why I need to build a lot of protections around me, so that to be able to survive. And our heart is getting more and more closed. We don't want other people to betray us. We don't want other people to hurt us. And that's why we are like, okay, I'm gonna stay inside of my bubble. And that's another point why I feel that this book may really transform our society, because right now we get really accustomed to live inside of isolated bubbles, because inside of this bubble everything is pretty clear. I know how to act, I know what's gonna happen, there is no danger inside. But once I want to get out of this bubble, ooh, I do not know, there is lots of uncertainty. And living inside of this bubble really impedes any kind of interaction and cooperation. But I truly believe that this cooperation with other people will provoke this transformation of our society, and therefore the transformation of the future that we really would love to live in. The world where people are cooperated, because when we look at some power structures, we say, oh, they know how to find this compromise, even if they contradict each other, they shout at each other, but then finally they say, okay, we are gonna unite ourselves in front of this danger that's somebody is gonna take the power, and we are gonna be united. But as for us, society, common people, we are so fragmented, we do not know how to be united. Because of that, because we have lots of fear of being betrayed, fear of being stolen, opportunities, money, competition, you know. So they really put this competition inside of our brains with their capitalist systems. So we don't really want to cooperate. And I feel that this book is really about that, how to open our heart, how to be ready for uncertainties, how to be ready to cooperate. And that was one of my reasons why I decided to start translating this book, but in Spanish, because I have already found a link on the internet where this book was translated into English language by a group of people voluntarily. And I haven't read it in English. I read it in Russian because initially it was written in Russian. Right now I'm going to say a bit about this book. But I also want to record some videos while I'm reading my own translation and their translation. I'm gonna put a link below this video if you want to have a text accompanying my reading, because I really feel that this book might be a part of a huge collective transformation. And in Spanish, obviously, I'm translating it with my Argentinian friend so that the Spanish world would also know this book. So you can ask me, Paulina, tell me what this book is. This book is called Two Lives by Kora Antarova. That was an opera singer, and she wrote this book during the Second World War while being in Moscow at home. Occasionally, there was no bombardment or any attack that molested her, so she wrote this book, or some say she canalized this book, but not to sound very strange, I would say she wrote this book. This book really reflects the philosophy of theosophy, that was popular among intellectuals at that time in Russia. But the most important thing here, that despite the fact there are lots of thoughts and ideas of theosophy inside of this book, there is also critique inside of this book. There is a person that is likely to be inspired by Madame Blavatsky, but she's being criticized because of her strictness, because of her rigidity. Is there any word like that in English? Because of her being rigid. So that's why it's not a pamphlet. That's why it's not a book about theosophy, really theoretical. No, nothing like that. It is a book with lots of profound spiritual knowledge. Actually, when I opened this website, I saw that they called it, that's one of the most spiritual and profound books on spirituality, on human soul. And I was really amazed because this book not only transformed me, but helped me to stay focused in the moments of torment, of internal torment. Because when I started reading this book, in 2 weeks, I had a surgery, and it was an urgent surgery. That's why I was waiting in emergency for my surgery for about 2 days. I felt bad. I also saw people getting unconscious, passing out. Some people also dying in front of me, and they were postponing my surgery because there were some cases even worse than mine. That's why the context was really, really difficult, complicated, and I felt that while I was reading this book, one thing that was really interesting, and obviously I wanted to get distracted, and I could because it was interesting, but at the same time, this book gave me a certain confidence that I will be able to wait for a certain moment for my surgery. There will be nothing bad that is going to happen to my body. I felt that faith in God, that everything is going to happen at the moment that I need, and there will be nothing bad that is going to happen. And when it's going to be a surgery, it would sound really like huge, saying like that, but that the God is going to operate me via the hands of a doctor. So it gave me lots of faith in that, lots of internal calm, internal stability, you know, that everything is under the control of God. So that was really important for me. Even not mentioning all the stuff that happened after, how I started to interact with people, that was another aim of that. So apart from all this talk, all this speaking that I'm saying to you, I obviously strongly recommend to read this book with me while I'm gonna grab recordings, because we are gonna have a series dedicated to this book. Series is gonna be with the blue frame, and every single week I'm gonna upload a video while reading the translated version of this book. So you can accompany me before going to bed, or when you like reading or listening to the books while doing your physical activity, or maybe while drinking tea with me, or chicoria right now I'm taking and drinking. So any moment, because it's gonna be like 15-20 minutes that you can listen to that. Maybe at first, sometimes to some of people, it seems boring. First 20 minutes, 20 pages, but then you start feeling the atmosphere and it's gonna be transformed into a page turner. I promise, just trust me. And if you feel that right now you are at the crossroads, or you have to make a decision whether to divorce or not, or to separate or not, or you do not know what path to choose, maybe in professional way, or you feel that everything is fine in your life, but at the same time you don't know how you can serve to people, or you are a bit confused what kind of service you can give to other people, what you can do. So I think that's the moment to read this book. Actually, I prepared several phrases from this book so that to seduce you into this reading. For example, all miracles are merely possibilities created by a person through their countless incarnations. This phrase is all about justice or injustice. Sometimes we feel that, oh, he's so lucky, and it's all about envy, right? It's unjust that it is happening to him, or it's unjust that it's happening to me. So there is no fortune as it is, but fortune or unfortune is an amount of accumulated actions in all our past lives that we did, or of all our incarnations that we lived. And I think that it gives us all this responsibility, not saying or having this magical perception of this world, magical thinking that there is another person who is responsible for everything that is happening to me. There is God that is punishing me for something. No, I am the cause of everything that is going around me. I know that this thought might be really popular right now, but one thing to have this thought in your brain and another one to feel it and to see how it works and to discover the why of everything that is going on, what I do on my therapies every single time, paying attention. Let's figure out why you benefit from that. So that's an incredible also book to figure out the cause and effect connections. Another phrase, don't consider a happy day the one that brought you something pleasant, but the one in which you gave people the light of your heart. That's one of the phrases that I'm really in love with. Why? Because that's all about how we interact with people. Every single time we think, oh, that was really good because today I earned this, and that. I got that approval. I feel like I'm a hero, right? But it's not about that. The world doesn't owe us. Any person doesn't owe us. Oh my God, so much noise outside. So it's all about what we presented to this world, what we show to this world today. And if we are going to think about the relations, not like capitalist relations in between people, you are being useful to me, I'm being useful to you, and you're going to give me love because I was useful to you. No, it's not about that. Like, what I can do to another person in the meaning of service, because sometimes even a smile or a word might serve so much or might save a life even sometimes, because it might prevent a person, let's imagine the worst situation, from a suicide, a person being in the darkest mood, in his blues, and then this person sees your smile and a word or even just a smile and completely transforms his internal world, right? So I think that's really important, how we perceive our interaction, how we treat the word that we may give. And another phrase, but right now I don't see it here, maybe I have forgotten to put it into my list, but there was a phrase, something like, you should be very careful with the words, and sometimes it's better to keep silence, but the word may destroy a life of another person and at the same time may give a life to another person. It's all about that we should take care of our words and be really attentive what kind of words we are throwing at people, because sometimes when we are really emotional or we are defensive, we may hurt with the word, as other people may hurt us. So from which point of your soul you use this word? What was or what is the initial motivation to use this or that word or this or that phrase? Is it to feel better? Is it to humiliate? Is it to show that you know more? So the word is really important, and if you're not that sure sometimes what to say, if you're not that sure how this word may affect a person, because after several words we feel lots of guilt, right? And then we do not know where to put this guilt, how to take this guilt out of our body. So sometimes it's better to keep silence. And one more phrase that I prepared for you, that eyes that cry are incapable of seeing clearly. And that's completely true. So while we are crying, it's not about that we shouldn't cry, but it's all about emotions. Once we are getting drained or getting conquered by emotions for a long, long time, we are almost incapable to see clearly. We are incapable to see from outside what's going on with my life. So it's all about that we have to choose our emotions. Every single time I'm making this metaphor with my clients, with emotions, that is an ocean. Emotions are this ocean, and we choose whether we want to enter this ocean or not. So I see that this emotion is coming. I want to experiment this emotion. I know how to manage it. Perfect. If I don't, I say that this emotion is coming out of me or is passing through. right? Passing by. So it's not about accumulating inside that I cannot afford to experiment irritation. No, it's not about that. It's about choosing these emotions. So for me, this phrase is all about that. While I'm going to read this book, I think that sometimes I'm going to give my personal interpretations, but at the same time, while reading, the context will give you more hints how to interpret this or that stuff. But in general, I feel really enthusiastic of translating this book, because I truly believe that every single person who's going to read this book is going to get transformed, and we are going to have a better society. I used to be really confused when I was asked, what kind of book would you recommend if it was one book to live in your life, to read in your life? And I was like, what a stupid question. There are so many profound books that I couldn't choose one. And right now I know, after reading this book, I understood that that is the book, because any kind of topic that we may face in our life, any kind of problem with relationship, with our profession, social service, our health, it's all inside of this book. All the answers are inside. And I have never read any book that would approach all the angles, all the spheres of our life. And while I'm thinking about transformation of society, every single time I'm thinking about schools and about families, because it's impossible to think that our society is gonna be on another stage of evolution without changing the family, because any kind of convictions, thoughts are being taught inside a family. If I have importance and I know that I cannot do this and that, this importance I was taught inside of my family. I learned it, learned importance, right? Or any other stuff. So how could we transform the dynamics of families, family dynamics? How can we transform schools? And I thought about this book, that this book should be read in every single school, should be discussed in every single school, because while right now I'm thinking about Russian schools, we have a certain very definite program for each year. And sometimes I ask myself how a person who is 10 years old can understand such a profound book. Not because this person is stupid, but because this person cannot be empathetic with all the situations, because he has never experienced or she has never experienced anything like that before. And it's pretty difficult, and we were not given lots of explanations, like what's going on, and sometimes you can be also traumatized by these books. So as an alternative, I found this book as Two Lives, a very, very good one in order to initiate this discussion, in order to set the values, in order to understand what is important in this life, because then we spend lots of years discovering that. It's not like, oh, I discovered everything and right now I know, but in order to live in a better society with true values, in order to live in the world that we really would love to live in, without competition and with this cooperation. So I invite you to accompany me while drinking a chicoria, while going to bed, to read this book, to listen to this book, and that's it. So if you love this video, I invite you to put likes and to subscribe, but at the same time to subscribe in order to read this book. See you soon. Bye bye.